going to go ahead and get this started, and I just want to open up, like, letting go, right? Like, dropping something off, putting something at the altar, right? Like, because a lot of times when I come into this space, I'm forgetting to offer up some of the things that I'm wearing right now, to truly have a lighter experience as I'm also serving. So it's like really, really important for me right now to know that if you're tuned in, it's like you really, really know that you were brought here by that thing, those things, and the connection to them can be released in this moment. And truly, this is a space of communicating and doing a spiritual maintenance of sort, to see clarity, to really truly be grounded. So this is not just divination for the sake of talking in circles or telling you about you, but the idea is that the inspiration is rooted in the devotion to the practice of doing something that you feel too, you resonate with too, you also do, and to see it comes off as irresistible, but at a higher octave, it's you recognizing that you're ready to have these conversations that can be completely independent, but amongst everyone, you know? And this is where we all meet in this time. And so for those of you who are in this space, it's congratulations to everything that is new for you at this time. We are very much at the beginning of a journey, of a road, of an ever unfolding experience. And I think that's why this kind of has to come out with a quickness. So we're going to just kind of like also just be very fluid. Like, don't hold on to any aspects of things, which I think is really important to inform at this time, because, you know, I'll be pulling from a lot of different contexts. So the divination tools that I use really are messaging based, because there's so many different things. There's not really an ego. I'm not here to sell you anything. It's just the true identity of like what my collection really is of tools that I use to impart meaning, which is really like anything around me. But like, I thought it was really important that the catalyst for this be very authentic. Like, I'm in the middle of braiding my hair. I'm on the floor of my mother's back room. Like, there's so much crazy things that would bring me to this circumstance to where I'm acknowledging my own vulnerability at this time, because I don't know what you think, right? Like, maybe you think this is my home, maybe you think this is, I don't know, something that I wanted to control, or maybe like there's a radical act of bravery happening before us, because we have no idea what's really brought someone to the moment that they're in. And that's kind of the context of these times. I think you would really resonate with that, right? So I would just consider that the beginning of the journey. This is really just like new timeline information, updates, maintenance, and this is a different way of connecting. And again, it doesn't require much from me, but more so, as long as I am doing my personal work within this space, it'll always reflect back at least that. So that's kind of why we're here. That's why we're brought together at this time, and that's ultimately what this energy is. And I just appreciate the slowing of things, the way that it doesn't have to be so fast. I know like a lot of us are in really delicate spaces. It was intense. It's one of those things that you're not going to realize was happening until it happened, and you lived through it and you survived through it, and you're going to look back and now there's this dividend. There's this pie in the sky that was given to you, and you can divvy it up into an infinite amount of pieces for yourself, or you could choose to not do that, or whatever. But at the same time, you know that you've inherited this space, and for a lot of us, we can recognize at the smallest of collectives, like this earth, right? We are inheriting the earth, and when I say we, I mean those of us on this journey that are here right now. So we're gonna just start with this is just a random book, and it's not really random, but I do tend to find that divination can come and intuitive messages can kind of come as they may. So I just opened to a page. There's no pre-planning on this, but anyways, we're gonna read it because it speaks. So this is the message that was starting us off today. Stop. God's gladness is not received by those who earn it. Let me run that back. God's gladness is not received by those who earn it, but by those who admit they don't deserve it. Now let me tell you how crazy this is. Let me just tell you how crazy it is that this is the message that we just opened up to today, which I'm grateful to myself for opening up to it. But I can tell you what, I just got hit with a wave, because if I could tell you, like, my destiny right now is in my face, like it's in a physical form right now, and I'm looking at it. And how can I explain it? But there was a wave that hit me and Dennis today. Dennis is my fiance, but Dennis, whom will probably be mentioned in random context, but never really, anyways. But he and I were both experiencing this very big grief, right? Where we started to see, there's a scary part of your entire destiny being physical. I know that this is where you'll either, I mean, you wouldn't even, there's not even like a falling off, like, this is why you're here. This is why you're listening to this in this moment, because it's here. It's like funny, because also, like, for me, I know that it's those of us who have been diligent and have been on the path. And I'm not even, there's no need to even get super specific, because you know the path, because it's the one we're talking about, the one that would bring something right in front of you in the physical. And as you're looking at it, you're immediately noticing how unworthy completely you are of something so specifically perfect and crazy and made just for you, like something that cannot physically belong to another. It's like there's something about it that is just so specific and niche and comes from, it's broadcasted from the heart space, so it's something that you don't even maybe have ever thought of consciously as how it would manifest, and it's here, and it's grandeur, and it's unbelievable, and it's going to connect you to this new grid where, much like a filtration system, where like vibrationally now what you're seeing is like, who in my area, where in my area is this vibration also? And that's kind of how you're going to be able to, like, that's where you're going, you know, because you're probably at this point where you've given, you're not connected to anything that you know. And when I say no in this context, I mean, like, I am a free floating agent. Like, I have unplugged. I've unplugged every plug, so I'm not stuck to any wall, and now I'm just kind of free to look at connection, right? And so that's all really coming. That's all really here right now. Like, I think we really needed a space. Like, I think we all know that this alignment was so specific that it's like, duh, then you must be the people I'm looking for, right? You must be the organisms I'm looking for. And I just think that that's something that's really worth noting. Like, it's important. Like, what if we could just be, I mean, we just went through this big redundant cycle of like how to be authentic and how to honor, you know, your authenticity and your vulnerabilities, you know what I mean? Which is part of the reason why I'm like literally feeling like, of course the time is now, and now being like sitting down on the floor, you know what I mean? Like, this is like probably the oddest picture to capture this journey on, but I think it's so important, because this is one of those like very I mean, we said it's so grandeur that it changes everything, and this is like the moment right before it all changes. So we're like 9 minutes in anyways, but at least we've gotten to the start of the message today. So it says, but by those who admit they don't deserve it. And so my whole point in telling you, I don't even know where that allegory went, but I'm really here to say, like, I really had this grief wave process through my heart chakra earlier. And what it really made me feel was the depths of how horrible it would be to not be worthy for that, to not be ready for that manifestation. Like, I'm telling you, like, oh, like, dream in my face, and I wasn't ready for it. So that's I'm going to take a minute because that was I really gripped and cupped the heart there. So I know that that's an intense sensation for some, but this is a message of how God promises gladness. And again, there's a lot of things that I'm allowing the universe to show me that they whatever, but that it's possible for this space to be assembled and there to be a direct translation. Do you see what I mean? So I'm not even really doing myself I'm not even going to be going into definitions and how I'm looking at things, because it really doesn't matter, bro. I'm really just telling you where this message is at. So it's just not about question. It's not even about, you're looking for something specific and I'm trying to tell you that I have it. You see what I mean? So God promises gladness, period. I know you needed to hear this. 9 times he promises it. And please don't, again, the gender of, again, people are interpreting these, anyways, so, but we're referencing God. 9 times God promises it. And God promises it to an unlikely crowd. The poor in spirit, beggars in God's soup kitchen. Those who mourn, sinners, anonymous, bound together by the truth of their introduction. Hi, I am me, and I'm a sinner. The meek, pawn shop pianos played by Van Silk Cleaborn. He's so good no one notices the keys missing. Those who hunger and thirst, famished orphans who know the difference between a TV dinner and a Thanksgiving feast. The merciful, winners of the $1 million lottery who share the prize with their enemies. The pure in heart, physicians who love lepers and escape infection. The peacemakers, architects who build bridges with wood from a Roman cross. The persecuted, those who manage to keep an eye on heaven while walking through hell on earth. It is to this band of pilgrims that God promises a special blessing. Okay, so that's crazy because I was unable to, again, this is a message that's coming out and being decoded as we speak. So as I'm reading this, I didn't absorb practically anything. So that's going to be so funny because I feel like this is really important for me to differentiate. So it is to this band of pilgrims that God promises a special blessing. So that's 9 times. So I'm thinking that there are going to be 9 paths is what I'm just being communicated. Let's say 9 paths is the best way. Not that there are only 9 paths, but there is this space revolves around, is assembling 9 separate paths. And there was this promise of gladness that each of these types of things that would travel down this path, there were promises of gladness that God would have for them. And so that promise of gladness brought them to a point. Well, this is the point. You probably resonated with one of those 9 things that I just shared, or more. Sure, that's easy too. And it says, it is to this band of pilgrims that God promises a special blessing, a heavenly joy, a sacred delight. But this joy is not cheap. What Jesus promises is not a gimmick to give you goosebumps, nor a mental attitude that has to be pumped up at pep rallies. Okay, sorry. I was just reading that. Sorry. But yeah, so that's kind of, again, I think today we're really talking here about this thing that has materialized, that's in your face, because we're going to need to know how to maintain it. Because I think you very much know it's not for anything or anyone else. But you also know, yeah, I might need support while I'm doing this. Because like I said, and a different type of support. You need support from understanding the role you're playing, not just general support. So that's kind of how we're starting things off. So we're going to start with the Cook's Tarot. But essentially, that is what the root of this message is. And again, I feel like it has to do with, clearly the internal Hierophant, right? The part of you that really learns to make a devotion to the status of understanding and discipline within a spiritual pursuit. So this kind of maintenance seems like second nature. It seems like something you can really opt into, and that's where I want this space to continue to be. I just don't want I don't want this to ever require we could be doing that, if we want to make this into a habit, it's the effort that I can already naturally exert. So I just kind of want it to stay in that realm. You get me? So we're going to just, okay, that was really easy. Okay, sorry. That deep pause. Okay, so here we are, Pisces season, bottom of the deck. Okay, the moon. And these are like the two hungry dogs who are howling at the moon because whatever they see in the moon, that the shadows the moon casts, right? This is the depths. This is the deepest part of the journey. I think I was reflecting and connecting with that earlier, but there's no doubt that there is an intensity with this moment, right? So it might have went something like the sun, like all things are open, like a baby's first kitchen. You know what I mean? Like what that space really impressions you with, like it's an openness to things being above ground and on the table, and you know what you know, and that really giving you this push to do this work. 8 of Pentacles, right? To continue to acknowledge that to have the sun is going to take, you know, true work, right? Like that's the part of you that's dealing with the work. And here's the 7 of Swords, which is this energy that is trying to essentially like have a disadvantage, like lifting something or taking something. I don't know why I just felt like this needs to stop. Whatever, I guess I should just trust it. So we're going to just actually read from the book because let's read. So it's midnight and a full moon is shining through the kitchen window. The light reflects off a bowl filled with harmless utensils, creating a distorted, monster-like shadow on the table. As its huge claw reaches out, getting bigger by the moment, a large dog, jumps up on a chair and begins to bark as if warding off attack. Her coat, normally a tawny gold, shines white in the crazy light. The beagle begins to howl. He is woken from a dream of digging up hidden treasures and is more frightened than defensive. The black cat stretches, reaches up, and swats at the shadow, intrigued by this new development that has caused such havoc in the household. So, the card meaning. The moon is associated with the zodiac sign of Pisces, which is represented by 2 fish swimming in opposite directions. This defines the meaning of the card. Pisces is the sign of the visionary and speaks to both howling confusion and intense clarity. So so that's what the basis of this really is, right? Like you're going to really be able to recognize in this moment the parts, like you're seeing like this new thing and there's something that you're looking at and it's both it's been revealed and it is both extremely confusing but also extremely clear. And that's how you know it's a gift of the divine. That's how you know how it came and emerged from the depths of Pisces, right? That's what the moon reveals. Like it's gonna make you feel crazy because you're like, what is this? What is this? You know what I mean? This is the card of both madness and genius. You see what I mean? Like we all kind of get to this place where you lose the mind body, right? And so and that can feel really disorienting because I think we don't realize how much gets like associated with our mind body, how many aspects of ourselves. So to lose that can definitely feel like maybe I'm genius or maybe I'm mad, but I think a lot of y'all are seeing in this moment that like whatever you were looking for is likely what is being presented to you. Like so like your story I'm hearing, like people probably listen to it and like, are you crazy? Like are you mad? Like what the heck? But they're not witnessing that it's actually the story of like genius, that it's actually like what you're looking at is someone who is shifting, who is changing publicly, and this thing that's in front of you that I keep mentioning that we're reading on, that was revealed under this Piscean wave, what came out is like, oh wow. And sure, there are parts that are associated with like the trauma of being called crazy, you know, of being crazy for doing this, for trusting this, because sometimes it really burns you, sometimes it really hurt, you know what I mean, to just be on this path. And it didn't feel like I was even looking for recognition at that point. I was like looking for relief. I was like no longer wanting to be in so much excruciating like veneration. Is that the word I want to look like just complete like like ground up, you know? It says this is the card of both madness and genius. And again, I'm telling you the Gemini influence of this week, like that's probably why I'm doing this. Like, anyways, whatever. But it's really says, this is the card of both madness and genius, which come from the same deep wellspring of consciousness. So that's why we're about to see a collective shift to the things, because it was always crazy, right? Like, think of like any people's movement, right? Like, I don't know, like when certain groups like get the right to vote, or when certain people are no longer enslaved or whatever, right? Like when these moments happen, it's always because we've had time to like analyze the radicalness of someone who's coming up out of a wellspring of either madness or genius. But what does it really matter? Because their job isn't about your perception. It is about what they have to do. And that's why they're important. And that's why you'll always know about them. And I think you watching this are the person that I am also looking to be in community with truly, but in a totally independent way until Spirit has other plans. But I think it's important that this roll call, like I know it just has to be said now. But I think you know what I'm talking about. Like, you know that this thing that you're looking at is the thing that's going to make people know exactly who you've always been, what your true nature really is, what they were actually looking at the whole time, what they were actually disconnecting from and making a spectacle of. You know what I mean? The moon is a reflective surface. And in tarot, what is reflected is the dark or shadow side of the human psyche. When you draw this card in a reading, it is your reaction to the shadows that determine the outcome. Do you see what I mean? And that's what the issue is all this negative self-talk has got to go. Like, walk away, drop the swords, like admit defeat and get yourself 6 of Swords is under this moon card. Like, it's like the darkness of this, the negative side of this, the pain of walking this journey this far. Like, I'm here to say, I know. Like, I know. Like, that's how I feel like you're like, can you believe it? No, I know how hard it really, really, really was. But if you're resonating even in the slightest, it's like the release comes from walking away and truly leaving behind, because that's the only sad part of the story. Right? It's just your negative thoughts about you and what you're doing. Because that's where you deceive yourself, the 7 of Swords. Where are you deceiving yourself? It's like the sun is shining, and the sun is shining on you and your hard work. You get me? This is who was, you know, it's like, this person is walking so this baby can eat some peppers, cage-free eggs, and some tea and some orange slices. Like, I don't know whose parent, whatever, but you see what I mean? Like, this person is working hard for this, for that, for the moment when the sun comes out. But it's unfortunate, though, when they deceive themselves. You know what I mean? When they don't believe the 7 of Swords, where they steal from themselves, or they, you know what I mean? Like, they don't invest in themselves. They don't recognize that work. They're not clear in that. And it's so they don't get hurt. But the Queen of Swords is saying, like, hello, I'm about to write the check. You get me? I don't know. Like, this is like, again, I'm not like processing this as this is coming out. So I'm probably going to watch this back whenever it's time for this to be like watched back. And here we're going to see. But anyways, it says, when you draw this card in a reading in reference to the moon, it is your reaction to the shadows that determines the outcome, as we were just saying. If you can signify a time of great creativity or a period of utter confusion. If there are tendencies toward alcoholism, depression, or any mental illness, the tug of the moon will pull you towards the downward path. Bro, I was just talking about this, though, because there are some of us process people and we make all these judgments of people, but we don't realize that if we're talking about like madness and genius existing in the same well, if someone is really tempted or can only be processed bad, then that probably means they just have to keep creating, right? Because that it's essentially, this is the energy where spirit is like, you're getting your toes wet and understanding now that this is the duality. You're either creating in this new timeline, which is, like I said, it's a roll call right now. So you're either creating in this new timeline, or you're realizing that, like, so you can either be like, what you're looking at right now can either be the best creation ever, or like you're being completely insane and irrational, like psychotic, like you think like I should be medicated because this would be the silly, like something about it just like does not, it doesn't seem, it's illogical in nature, but it is extremely creative. Spirit is saying, if you view what is in front of you through the proper lens, which is the creation of it, you have learned, you just created something. You created a circumstance, a moment, an opportunity, an alignment, a partnership. You get me? You've created this. This is the silly bitch who's like stealing cookies from her own restaurant. Like, okay, ho, you bought the flour and stuff. Like, it's giving deceiving yourself. Oh wait, I own the joint. I'm cutting the check. It's my truth. It's me. This thing is me. It's me. That's why it can't be touched by anything. And the moon brought it. This moon brought it. You see how I don't have to read all this, bro? That's because the message is flowing. The motor's flowing. The gas is going, you know? Yeah. What a beautiful, beautiful start to this. I'm going to stay right here. So I think my dog is fine. But, yeah, so I loved that. Ooh, now would be a good time to get visual, because some of us learn differently. So this is the secret language of color cards. And I'm not even trying to plug them, but I'm just saying it really did change up some things when I really realized that most of, like, imagery is like everything, you know what I mean? Like, the artists of these decks are crazy and whatever, but the colors here are so crazy, like this mind that put this together, anyways. But it's just it's very beneficial and valuable to just to have this different method. Let's go with that. So did we not just say that right now you're learning the duality, right? Because this is like Gemini influence this week. It's also the Piscean influence. You know, that gives you, it's like my bag. Like, I'll be honest, because like I love to organize the divine. Like, if I could be honest, like if I could like really, when I say organize it, I just like love communicating that. Like, I love that challenge. And so and not to anyone, but I mean just like transcription. You know what I mean? Like, because things were really random. Like, my life was really, really random at certain points. And so this energy is so gorgeous because we got pearl and lilac. Like, do you see what that does? Look how that light is hitting those. It's like roasted. But pearl says 25. Okay, first of all. 25, first of all. Connect to the divine. 7. Pearls. So when you think about your creativity, or when you think about choosing the madness and the confusion, right? It's just times where you're going to start seeing these energies, and you're going to have more compassion for these energies because you're going to realize you're one and the same. You know what I mean? Where it's like, if I'm not living in my purpose, like, then the path that I'm on is going to seem crazy. So it really is such a commitment at this time, and that's why Lilac has also followed up to say, strengthen your faith. 42, narrow down to 6. Strengthen your faith at this time. So what we're doing right now, essentially, right, with connecting to the divine and strengthening our faith, is the best way to hear this constant stream of reassurance. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. And then there was a hidden one. The last but certainly the most important, because look at where we are. We just, so you felt the purification of coming up through the soil, but look, brown, 12, 3, establish boundaries. Because when you're budding. Okay, people may not be budding. People may be somewhere else, but you're budding. So this is a delicate phase for this plant here. It just came about the soil. Leaves looking gorgeous. Soil looking tended to. Right? But this brown is really heart chakra. And you're having to, like, off the gate, bro. Like, this is like, I would call this like an end of the cycle reading, if you wanted to say, like, end of the year, the wheels, you know what I mean? Like, we're resetting, you know what I mean? Back to the top. So this is very much what that produces. Like, we're also realizing, like, yes, well, the end, the Piscean age, the finale, we're looking at the strength of whatever has come up. And some of us are going to make it through the rainy season, because this is, like, the first part of the battle. Like, this is seeds, germination stage. Like, this is the end, but this is really the beginning of a new thing. So that's how Spirit really wants us to look at this time, right? I was hearing diamonds and pearls. Anyways, not to be that reader. No, that's crazy. But Spirit just said, like, keep being up. Like, I need to remind you guys that I'm so vulnerable at this moment, right? Coral, allow flow and synchronicity into your life. Like, you don't understand. Like, I knew it was time. I knew it was time for this message. That's just the bottom of the deck. It's a 9. It's right at the end of that cycle. So it's like you've come to this new place and you're above ground, but this really just starts a new cycle. So you have to, you're learning something, you're growing through something that feels unique, because you now know, like, okay, well, next time I end a cycle, I gotta save some energy for popping up out of the ground, because that kind of took me by surprise. And that's okay, because taking you by surprise doesn't mean it wasn't gonna come for you, right? Like, good thing that Spirit was gauging and watching you this whole time. Like we said, Spirit's been saying ships are coming in all the time, every day, all day, any moment. So the real question is, like, how are you aligning to those ships? And then you get put on a cycle, and and every cycle has its, whatever. So that's kind of what's happening here. But it's this energy of welcome to above ground on the soil. It's rich, it's rooted, it's mulchy. You look up, you're like, okay, it's fresh, it's crisp. I'm really vibrant, okay? Which I think is also, you may not know that, because you also haven't, like, this new seedling has never seen its, like, color. Like, it's like, well, oh, green. We're like chlorophyll reflecting light from the sun. Like, interesting. Like, that's a new thing that you're also processing. So it's heart chakra movement. It's coming from your heart chakra now. You get me? So we've been charging the judgment at the bottom of the Wheel of Change, and this is the Tarot of Change deck, but this Judgment card looks like the fabric of the earth, like the zipper of the earth, like, before you come in, like, you know what I mean? Like, judgment is like, it's the same question you were asked when you entered into this physical dimension at your birth date and moment, you know what I mean? It's like, are you ready? You know what I mean? Are you ready to start? It's the start of a new journey. So we're just clarifying the bottom. The sun. And it's like, you knew, like, this is like the High Priestess. This is Divine Feminine. Whenever the High Priestess is popping out, it's because it's so Divine Feminine. Like I said, there's a second message here. It's not a second message, but it's a huge understanding right now that you also need to know that your Divine Feminine is the one being rewarded at this time, because this is the end of her cycle. So she's like, here's what I produced for you. You're welcome. So make sure to also give that sun energy some credit, because, right? Like, that's so funny that I'm saying giving the sun energy some credit, right? Because that baby, this is this woman's baby, right? Right? What she had to conjure up just to sit here, what she had to offer up just to have the sun, what she had to work through, you know what I mean? 7 of discs, what was earned, you get me? The net profit before, you know what I mean? So High Priestess is here, clarifying that she's brought the sunlight, the sun, or there's a sun on there, you know what I mean? I'm just guessing. And as we're talking about judgment, bro, judgment under here, clarifying the 8 of Pentacles. Are you ready? It's all, I just heard, chefs, drop your utensils. Like, I don't know. Right? Like, and time. And it's like whatever's done, however your meal looks, that's what you're gonna get. So don't even be mad, because what you're seeing is not like something you have to earn. It's what you get for what you did. That's what, whoa, thank you, Spirit. Let's sit that. So I'm looking at this thing that's miraculous and grandeur, but I don't need to look at it like, dang, like, how am I supposed to get it? Because I know there's parts of it that are just like, well, this is obviously from God. So this is that moment where it's like, chef, put your utensils down. We're just tasting your pie, and we're giving it like we're paying you for it. Like, say like, I'm gonna pay you as much or as little as this meal tastes good to me. So we're in the kitchen whipping up, and the Spirit's like, okay, time, give me your dish, and whatever you made for Spirit eats it. And that's what this is. It's the value, it's the equivalent of what you was cooking in the kitchen for Spirit as an offering. And so it is a reflected value. So it doesn't mean that you need to be psyched out like, I can't have this because I don't got the coin. You don't have to worry, because this is the space. This is the thing. This thing is going to allow you to connect to all different fragments of yourself. So huge message there. Queen of Discs. Yeah, of course, because you're rich. No, but seriously, it's like that. It's like seriously like that. It's like seriously like so. That's hilarious. It's great. It's the Ace of Swords reverse. It's striking down. It came right through the crown, bro, because you realized where you were deceiving yourself. There was some painful truth. You got cut by something, because if it's going down, it's slicing you, bro. You get me? So you got cut by the fact that you was deceiving yourself about something. Like some crazy, brutal finale to some shit is like, got you like, dang, I guess I'm happy it's time for a new, cycle? Because you're beat, bro. But why? Because when this came down, you realized something. Don't be mad that this truth came down. Your truth came down and showed you where you were deceiving yourself. Where you were stealing cookies out of your own damn bakery. Six of Discs. I don't know if it stopped something. No, it didn't. Okay. Excuse me, Six of Cups. I said Six of Discs. Right? And a lot of that has to do with your karmic cycle, Six of Cups, that whole old thing. We're done with that. Queen of Swords is here to say, Three of Swords, I cut it off. I was just about to say, she's here to cut it off. She's like, cut the check. Cut the check. Cut it. Like, you're getting a check cut for the karma that you cut out of your life. Like, it's like that, bro. It's like that. Three of Swords. Like, she is slicing. She's sitting here eating sushi. Like, how much pain did you go to sear this salmon, bro? Because I'm about to cut the check. It's what Spirit's asking you. It's what you went through. What was painful. What was really hard, bro. Slow and steady, Knight of Pentacles. It's what's coming to you. It's what's in front of you. Get me? You get me. So, I don't even know if I need to belabor this, but that is for sure. I can just kind of do parts of messages. Yeah, we can do this in parts because I don't want this to be forever long. That is a phenomenal idea. But yeah, I hope that you were able to follow. I'm sure you were, because why would you still be here? But otherwise, yeah, actually, I'm keeping our energy up. But it was phenomenal. Go in the peace and the power and might of God.